The jungle never felt quiet to Tava'K. It only pretended to be. He moved through wet leaves with his cloak on, almost invisible. The air was hot. The ground smelled like mud and metal. Somewhere ahead, humans whispered in a broken shelter made from old cargo panels. Tava'K was a young blood. That meant he was not allowed to fail. It also meant the older hunters watched him even when he could not see them. He raised his wrist slowly. A small screen showed heat shapes. 4 humans. One carried a rifle. One carried a box that beeped. The others looked tired. Easy, Tava'K told himself. Clean. He dropped from a branch and landed behind the shelter without a sound. His mask filters tasted smoke. He could hear a heartbeat like a fast drum. Then the world changed. A deep boom rolled through the jungle. Not thunder. The sound came from the coast, far away, and it pushed through the trees like a wave. The humans froze. One of them looked up at the sky, like the sky had shouted at him. Tava'K did the same. Above the canopy, the clouds split. It was not a normal tear. It looked like a bright crack in the air itself. Blue-white light bled out. The wind snapped around it. Leaves flew upward, like someone had turned gravity around. Tava'K's mask beeped. Warnings stacked on the screen. Energy, heat, radiation. This was not part of the hunt. A second boom hit, bigger than the first. The ground shook. A bird flock exploded out of the trees and vanished. The humans screamed and ran. Tava'K did not chase them. His body moved on instinct now, toward the coast. Every hunter on the planet would feel that noise. He sprinted through the jungle, silent but fast. Branch to branch. As he moved, he heard other cloaked steps nearby, older hunters, watching. When he reached a high ridge, he saw the ocean. The sea had pulled back like it was holding its breath. Then it came back. A wall of water slammed the beach. Foam rushed over black sand. The shockwave knocked trees sideways. Tava'K dug his claws into rock and held on, and something rose from the water. At first, his eyes could not fit it into a shape. It was too large, too heavy, like a mountain decided to stand. Then the head lifted, and he understood. It was alive. Its skin was dark and scarred. Water poured off it in sheets. Its eyes were small compared to its body, but they were sharp. A low growl rumbled out of its chest. The sound made Tava'K's teeth hurt inside his mask. Behind its neck and back, plates stuck up like jagged ridges. As it took another step, the plates twitched, almost like they were listening. A hunter beside Tava'K let out a short hiss of excitement. "New trophy," the hunter whispered. The giant creature turned its head, slow, scanning the shore. It was not looking for prey and panic. It was looking like it had a job to do, and it was angry it had been interrupted. Another cloaked hunter made a choice. A bright bolt snapped from a shoulder cannon and hit the giant's side. The flash lit the beach. The shot would have burned a human into ash. On the giant, it made a bright mark. That was all. The creature stopped walking. Then its head turned, and its eyes locked on the ridge. Tava'K felt something worse than fear. He felt seen. The plates along the creature's back began to glow, one after another, like lamps turning on. Blue light ran up its spine. Tava'K's mask screamed warnings again. Heat levels climbed too fast. "Move!" an older hunter snapped. Tava'K leapt back at the same time the creature opened its mouth. A beam of blue-white fire cut across the beach. It was not a spray. It was a straight line, steady and focused. Sand turned to glass. Water boiled into steam. A hunting camp near the shoreline vanished in a blink. The blast climbed the ridge, not quite reaching Tava'K, but close enough that his cloak flickered and died for a second. When the beam stopped, the jungle kept shaking from the sound. The giant took another step, as if the shot and the answer were already finished business. Far inland, beyond the ridge, another roar answered back. This one was different. Not from the sea, from the deep jungle. Tava'K's blood went cold. 2 giants, and he was standing between them. Commander Torres had seen storms rip roofs off buildings. He had seen riots, fires, and bad landings. He had never seen the ocean stand up. On the outpost's main screen, the shoreline camera shook as if someone was punching it. White spray filled the view. Then the shape rose, blocking the horizon. Silence hit the command room. Not peaceful silence. The kind that meant brains were trying to understand a thing that did not fit. Torres leaned forward. Zoom. A tech obeyed with shaking hands. The picture sharpened, then blurred again as the camera tried to focus. The creature's skin looked like burned rock. Scars crossed its shoulder and neck. Water ran off its body in heavy sheets. Every step it took sent a tremor through the sand and the trees. Then the blue beam happened. The room lit up from the screen's glow. One of Torres's soldiers stumbled back like he had been hit. Someone swore. Someone prayed. Torres did not move. He watched the beam slice the beach into a glowing wound. He watched steam rise like a white wall. He watched a small hunting camp, one that had not belonged to his people, vanish in an instant. "Sir," the tech said, voice cracking. "Our sensors are reading. I don't even know how to say it. Heat spikes, radiation spikes. It's like a reactor." Torres turned. "Where's Dr. Chen?" "I'm here," Dr. Maya Chen said, pushing into the room with a tablet under her arm. Her hair was tied back in a messy knot. Her eyes were sharp, wide, and tired at the same time. She looked at the screen once and did not speak for a full 5 seconds. Torres knew that look. It was the look of a person who loved answers and hated fear. "What is it?" he asked. Dr. Chen swallowed. "It's alive. It is not a ship. It is not a machine. And it is not from here." Torres almost laughed at the last part. Nothing on this world had felt from here since the first settlers landed and started hearing stories about hunters in the trees. He kept his voice steady. "Evac plan? Start it," she said. "But don't shoot it." A soldier snapped his head toward her. "Ma'am, did you see?" "I saw," Dr. Chen cut in. "And that's why I'm saying it. If you shoot it, you will not hurt it. You will only make it angry." Torres looked back at the screen. The creature was already moving inland, away from the water. It pushed through the jungle like the jungle was tall grass. Something about that movement made Torres uneasy. It did not look lost. It looked directed, as if it had heard a call. Above the clouds, hidden in the dark, a ship watched too. Elder Tava'K stood at the center of the command deck, hands clasped behind his back. He was old for a hunter. His dreadlocks were thick with beads and trophies, but his eyes were the sharpest thing in the room. Around him, younger hunters talked fast. Clicks and hisses filled the air. "Energy like a star core," one said, pointing at the scan. "It should not exist." "It killed a shore camp with one breath," another said. "Claim rights. Now." Sha'Rin did not speak at first. He watched the numbers. He watched the replay. He watched the way the creature took the shot, then answered once, then moved on. Sha'Rin's mask was off. His face was calm, but his eyes were cold. "It didn't chase," Sha'Rin said at last. "It didn't hunt." A hunter scoffed. "It destroyed us." "It destroyed a camp," Sha'Rin corrected, "after a hunter attacked it." A low grumble ran through the room. Some took that as shame. Others took it as an excuse to get louder. Elder Tava'K lifted one hand, and the noise died. "Listen," the elder said. His voice was rough, not weak, just worn by years. "This is not a normal game. This is not a normal prey. He pointed at the screen with one claw. That creature did not come here by choice. The sky tore open. That is a sign. A sign that the hunt is blessed, a young hunter hissed. Karak's eyes narrowed. Or a sign that we are being tested. Sha'Rin stepped closer. Elder, our rules do not cover this. Tava'K gave a slow nod. Then we do what we always do. We choose honor. A hunter in the back made an unhappy sound. Honor does not keep us alive. Tava'K turned his head just enough to show his teeth. Honor is why we are still here. He faced the room again. No ship cannons, no orbit strikes, no cheating. We watch. We learn. We do not provoke a God-sized thing we do not understand. The word God made several hunters shift. Sha'Rin's fingers flexed at his side. He did not like the word. He did not like anything that sounded like surrender. We will observe, Sha'Rin said, voice even, and we will prepare. Tava'K looked at him. Prepare is allowed. Panic is not. Sha'Rin nodded once. In his mind, the plan was already forming into lists and layers, lures, traps, fallback zones, and one option he would not speak out loud unless he had to. On the ground, Tava'K followed the giant's trail. It was not hard. Trees snapped in half. The earth cracked from the weight. Steam rose from footprints where wet soil had been pressed and heated. Tava'K kept his cloak on, moving along the edges, staying downwind when he could. His pride wanted him closer. His instincts told him not to be foolish. Every time the giant moved, the jungle reacted. Animals ran first. Then the smaller creatures. Then the insects, as if the air itself was warning them. Tava'K stopped on a high branch and watched through leaves. The giant paused near a river. It lowered its head and sniffed the air. It did not drink. It did not eat. It seemed to taste the world, then reject it. The plates on its back flickered faintly, like a slow heartbeat of light. Tava'K's mask showed unstable readings again. Radiation. Heat. Power. He clicked his tongue softly, a hunting sound, more out of habit than sense. The giant's head lifted. For a terrifying second, Tava'K was sure it would look straight at him again. Instead, the creature turned toward the inland roar that had answered earlier. It stepped forward, and the river surged over its banks from the push of displaced ground. Tava'K watched it go and felt something he did not want to admit. Not envy, not pride. A kind of respect that tasted bitter. Because respect meant he understood one truth. He could not win alone. In the human outpost, Torres marched through a hallway full of running boots and shouting voices. "Move the families first," he yelled. "Medical next. If you have a seat, you have a job. If you don't, you carry something." People ran past him with bags and crying kids. Someone dropped a crate. It split open and spilled food packs across the floor. No one stopped to pick them up. Voss arrived in the chaos like he owned it. He wore clean boots. He wore a smile. He held a comm device in one hand like it was a microphone. "Commander Torres," Voss called. "I just spoke to corporate. They want a live feed. They want samples. They want—" Torres got close enough that Voss's smile faltered. "Voss," Torres said, low and dangerous. "People are going to die if you keep talking like that." Voss lifted his hands. "I'm just saying, this is history. If we get even one scale, one drop—" "Out," Torres said. Voss blinked. "Excuse me." "Get out of my command space," Torres said. "You can sell your story after we're not Ash." Voss backed away, still smiling, but the smile was thinner now. Dr. Chen caught up beside Torres. "He's going to try anyway." "I know," Torres said. She lowered her voice. "Commander, I need access to the deep sensors, the ones we don't talk about." Torres's jaw tightened. Those sensors were for one thing. The hunters in the trees. The ones the colony pretended were myths, even when bodies went missing. "You think this is connected?" he asked. "I think everything on this world is connected," she said. "And that creature, it moved like it was following something." Torres looked at her. "You're saying someone called it?" Dr. Chen did not answer right away. She glanced at the screen in the hall, where the camera feed showed a black shape moving through green. "It crossed here through a tier," she said. "A tier like a door." Torres felt a chill. "Doors go both ways." Dr. Chen nodded. "Exactly." Torres led Dr. Chen down a side stairwell that most settlers never used. The door at the bottom had no sign. Only a keypad and a camera. "You built this," Dr. Chen said. "We inherited it," Torres replied, "from the people who came before my time." He typed a code. The lock clicked. Inside was a small room full of old screens and newer patches. A map of the jungle filled the main display. Tiny dots moved across it in slow arcs. At first, Dr. Chen thought they were animals. Then one dot stopped in midair. "No," she whispered. "That's not an animal." Torres tapped the screen and zoomed in. A heat outline appeared. Tall, broad shoulders, a long head shape, something on its arm that glowed. Dr. Chen's throat tightened. "So, the stories are true." Torres did not look away. "People go missing. We find cuts that don't match any local predator. We find burns that don't match our tools. So yes, there are hunters here." The heat outline shifted. Another outline appeared behind it, then vanished as if it stepped out of the sensor range. Dr. Chen forced a slow breath. "Are they connected to this Godzilla?" Torres shook his head. "I don't know. But they just lost a camp on the shore. If that was them, they will not be calm." Dr. Chen watched the dots move, then noticed a wider ring on the map. "What's that circle?" she asked. Torres's mouth went tight. "That's the perimeter around their no-go zone. We don't cross it. Not if we want to live." Dr. Chen stared at the circle, then at the line of Godzilla's path inland. The two lines were slowly getting closer. Her voice went quiet. "Then our evacuation has to go the other way." Torres nodded once. "And we do it fast." A loud alarm sounded above them, not the standard outpost alarm, a deeper one. Torres turned. "That's the orbital tracker." Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "More ships?" Torres did not answer, because he did not have to. The screen changed. New heat marks appeared in the sky layer, more than one, moving into position. Dr. Chen's hands curled into fists. "So the hunters are calling more hunters." Torres finally looked at her. "Or the sky tear called everyone." Tava'K went down to the lower bay, where hunters gathered around a holo table. The table showed the planet. It showed the coast. It showed the path the giant had taken inland. Some hunters pointed at it like children planning a game. "If we guide it into the canyon, it slows," one said. "If we set mines in a line, that is not hunting," another snapped. "Then what is it?" the first snapped back. "A war?" The argument grew fast. Clicks became sharp. Hands lifted. Pride rose like heat. Tava'K watched and let it run for a moment. He knew something about hunters. If you tried to stop them too early, they pushed harder. Then he stepped forward. He placed an old trophy on the table, a skull with deep cuts and burn marks. The room quieted. "This is from a creature that killed 8 hunters," Tava'K said. "It killed them because they were loud, because they were careless, because they thought power was the same as skill." He tapped the skull once. "Do you want your skull on this table next?" No one answered. Tava'K turned to Sha'Rin. "You will lead the watch." Sha'Rin's head tilted. "Watch?" "You will watch and you will plan, Tava'K said. If the creature threatens our ships, our clans, or the humans we use as game, then you may act. Several hunters made displeased sounds at the mention of humans as game, but no one challenged it. That was their world. Sha'Rin nodded. I already have 3 plans. Tava'K's eyes narrowed. 3. Sha'Rin did not deny it. 1 is for guidance. 1 is for containment. 1 is for worst case. Tava'K leaned close enough that only Sha'Rin could hear the next words. If your worst case is dishonor, Tava'K said, you will answer to me. Sha'Rin's face did not change. If my worst case keeps our people alive, I will answer to anyone. Tava'K held his gaze for a long moment, then stepped away. Behind them, the rule meeting started again in a new form. A young hunter asked, serious as stone, if we shoot it from orbit, is it still a hunt if we land and cut the head after? Another hunter snapped, that is not a hunt. That is cleaning. A third said, but if it is a god, then rules change. A fourth hissed, gods can bleed. Everything can bleed. Tava'K did not join the argument. He stared at the holomap and listened to the planet's heartbeat through the ship's sensors. Heavy steps, heat spikes, and a second, deeper heat source far inland that had started moving too. Something old was waking. Night fell. The jungle turned black and wet. Torres stood on the outpost roof with binoculars he knew were useless at this distance. He watched the horizon anyway. Dr. Chen stood beside him, arms folded, eyes fixed on a small, glowing dot on her tablet. What are you seeing? Torres asked. Dr. Chen hesitated. Patterns. He waited. Every time it moves, she said, the radiation it gives off pulses in a rhythm. It's like breathing. It's like a signature. Torres frowned. A signature of what? Dr. Chen's lips pressed together. Back on Earth, when I was a kid, my father showed me old movies, old myths, monsters. Torres gave a short, humorless snort. Now is not a great time for bedtime stories. I know, she said quickly. But listen, the way it looks, the plates, the breath, the way it comes out of the sea like it owns the sea. She turned the tablet so he could see a frozen frame from the shoreline camera. The giant's head, half lit by moonlight, eyes like dark stones. There's a name humans used, she said. A name from stories. Godzilla. Torres stared at her, then back at the horizon. Godzilla isn't real, he said. But the words came out weak. Dr. Chen's voice stayed calm, but her hands shook a little. It is real enough to turn sand into glass. Torres lowered the binoculars. He did not know if he believed in myths. He believed in what could kill his people. And something out there was walking inland, following a call, while the sky still showed a thin scar where it had broken. In orbit, Tava'K received a signal. It was an old code. Clan Council priority. It only came when a world's hunt changed forever. Tava'K watched the message scroll across the screen. More ships were coming. More clans. More hungry eyes. He closed his fist slowly. Now, he said to himself, we will see what kind of hunters we truly are. Rex did not feel fear the way most hunters pretended not to. He felt it, and he enjoyed what it did to other people. He stood alone in a narrow corridor of an old facility buried under the jungle. The walls were plated with metal that did not belong to the humans. Old Yautja metal. Old locks. Old warnings carved into the doors. A symbol was scratched across the biggest door, a circle with claw marks through it. Keep shut, the symbol meant. Rex ran a claw along it and clicked a soft laugh. Rules, he whispered. On his wrist screen, he watched the energy readings from the surface. The Sea Titan had landed. It had burned a shore camp with one breath. It was marching inland, like it owned the world. And the clans were coming. They would argue about honor. They would argue about fair hunt. They would argue until someone died. Rex did not want to argue. He wanted to win. He placed a device against the lock. The device chirped and flashed. The old door fought back, then gave in with a heavy clunk. The door slid open just enough for Rex to see inside. The chamber was huge, bigger than any human hangar. The floor was carved with old claw marks. Thick chains ran from the walls, each chain as wide as Rex's arm. Some were snapped already. Heat shimmered in the air. 2 yellow eyes opened in the dark, low to the ground. Rex's mask tried to lock a target and failed. The shape was too big, too close, too alive. A head moved forward. Horns scraped the ceiling with a slow, grinding sound. A mouth opened, and the breath that rolled out smelled like blood and burnt soil. Rex did not step back. He made himself stand still. "Good," he whispered. "You remember pain. That means you remember how to fight." Something in the darkness thumped once, like a tail hitting metal. Then the chains clinked again, softer now. Like the creature was listening. The smell that came out was wrong, hot, sour, and thick, like breath from a cave that had been closed for too long. Deep inside, something moved. A low sound rolled forward, not a roar yet. A warning, a promise. Rex's mask read the heat and almost froze. The number was too high. He clicked again, louder this time, like a hunter calling a dog. "Wake up," he said. "There's something on your world that thinks it is king." The sound inside changed. The promise became hunger. Elder Tava'K watched the holomap with his arms behind his back. The Sea Titan's path was clear, straight, heavy. It pushed toward an inland heat source, like 2 magnets pulling together. But Tava'K also saw something else. A sealed zone deep in the jungle had gone dark on the ship's sensors. The old beacons that marked it had stopped responding. Sha'Rin noticed it too. That zone should never go dark. Tava'K's eyes narrowed. A rogue has opened it. A hunter at the table clicked in confusion. Why would anyone open a reserve? Tava'K did not answer, because he already knew the kind of hunter who would. He turned to a comm officer. "Send a warning to every clan ship arriving. Do not land near the old reserve. Do not touch what sleeps there." The officer hesitated. "Elder, some will not listen." Tava'K's voice went flat. "Then they will learn." Tava'K remembered the reserve. Long ago, a rogue clan had tried to impress the council by building their own perfect prey. They captured a giant beast from a dead moon and fed it, trained it, hurt it, and made it mean. They called it the Ravager Titan. It was not meant to escape. It was meant to be released for a single elite hunt, then put back into its cage. Tava'K had voted against it, not because he feared the beast, because he feared what it did to hunters. It made them lazy. It made them think pain was a toy. Now the beacons were dark, and the Sea Titan was walking toward that zone. Around the holotable, another argument started, as if hunters could argue reality into being smaller. "If we use the ship's lance once," one said, "is it still a hunt if we finish with blades?" Another hissed, "That is not a hunt. That is cleaning your mess." A third clicked, impatient. "Then what is allowed? Nets? Mines? Smoke?" Tava'K's voice cut through. "What is allowed is what keeps this world from burning. You will not fire from orbit. You will not crack the planet to win a story." Sha'Rin leaned closer to the map. "If what sleeps there meets the Sea Titan," Tava'K finished the thought, "then the hunt becomes a war." A young hunter muttered, almost hopeful. "Or it becomes easy. 2 beasts. 1 winner." Sha'Rin's eyes turned to him. "Nothing about this is easy." Karak looked down at the planet like he could press his palm to it through the glass. "Keep civilians out," he said. "Keep hunters alive. And if you must choose between pride and survival, choose survival." Sha'Rin gave a single nod. He did not like the order, but he understood it. Commander Torres did not have time for philosophy. He had trucks moving. He had people packed into cargo carriers. He had med teams strapped into seats beside crates of water. And he had a road that kept shaking. The first tremor came like a giant hand tapping the world. The second tremor came like the hand slamming down. "Keep moving!" Torres shouted into his comm. "Don't stop! If you stop, you're dead!" A driver's voice crackled back. "Commander, the bridge ahead," Torres cut in. "Then go around it. Dirt road. Anything." Dr. Chen sat in the passenger seat of Torres's lead vehicle. She held her tablet like it was a life raft. "It's close," she said. Torres glanced at the screen. "How close is close?" "Within 5 kilometers, Dr. Chen said. "Maybe less." A soldier in the back muttered. 5 kilometers is nothing for a thing that size." Torres did not disagree. The jungle ahead brightened for a moment, like lightning without clouds. Then a sound hit them. A roar so deep it felt like it pressed on the chest from the inside. The convoy's engine stuttered as drivers flinched. "Eyes front!" Torres barked. "You crash, you kill more than yourself." The road curved around a hill, and the jungle opened into a wide valley. Torres saw Godzilla first. He was bigger up close than any screen could show. His body filled the valley like a moving fortress. Steam rolled off his shoulders. The plates along his back glowed faintly, then dimmed, like he was holding fire inside. Then Torres saw the other thing. A shape burst from the far tree line with speed that did not match its size. It was long and thick, with 4 powerful legs and a heavy tail. Its skin was dark and rough, layered like armor over muscle. A crown of horns framed its head. Its mouth opened wide, and rows of teeth flashed. It slammed into Godzilla's side. The impact sounded like 2 mountains colliding. The convoy stopped without meaning to. Every driver did it at once. Fear made the choice. "Move!" Torres yelled, but his voice was small next to that violence. Godzilla staggered 1 step, then planted his feet. He turned his head slowly toward the attacker. Dr. Chen whispered, "That's not a natural animal." Torres watched it leap again and believed her. Tava'K watched the valley from a cliff edge. His cloak shimmered. His mask's crosshairs danced as his system tried and failed to calculate what he was seeing. He had hunted humans. He had fought smaller beasts. He had trained for years. None of it mattered here. The horned monster moved like it had been built for killing. It didn't roar to scare. It roared to push its body harder. It slammed into Godzilla again, biting down on one of the glowing plates near his shoulder. Godzilla's muscles tensed. He did not flail. He did not panic. He grabbed. His claws dug into the beast's throat and jaw. Godzilla ripped the mouth away from his back with raw strength, then threw the attacker sideways. The horned beast flew. It crashed through a wall of trees, snapping trunks like sticks, and skidded to a stop in a spray of dirt. Tava'K's mask beeped a warning. Shockwave. Hunters around the valley reacted fast. 2 hunters darted in, cloaked, and fired mines into the dirt. The mines sank and armed themselves with tiny lights. A 3rd hunter launched a drone orb that zipped above the fight to map movement. Smart discs spun through leaves. Net cannons fired thick cords that would have trapped a tank. The cords hit Godzilla's arms and chest. They snapped in seconds. The mines detonated under Godzilla's feet. The blasts were loud. Dirt and smoke jumped into the air. When the smoke cleared, Godzilla was still standing in the same place. His feet had not moved. The drone orb jittered like it didn't know what to do with that result. The hunter's comms filled with clicks and sharp voices. "Do not fire again," Karak ordered. Another voice snapped back, angry. It is not prey. It is a threat. A third voice cut in, annoyed like someone correcting a rule in a game. If it does not accept the hunt, is it still hunting? Someone actually answered. If it kills you, yes. Even now they were arguing. Below, the horned beast rose again. It shook dirt from its head and charged, but this time it went for Godzilla's legs. It bit down hard. Godzilla's skin tore. Dark blood seeped. Tava'K's eyes widened. He had not seen the sea titan bleed before. The horned beast tried to pull Godzilla off balance, like a predator dragging down a bigger animal. Godzilla answered with a tail strike. The tail hit like a train. The horned beast lifted off its feet and rolled across the ground, leaving a trench behind it. Godzilla roared into the sky. The sound rolled over the valley and into the jungle, and Tava'K felt it in his bones. For a heartbeat, the horned beast froze. Not in fear, in recognition, like it had just met the real alpha. Then it screamed and rushed again anyway. Tava'K's mask flashed new warnings. Godzilla's plates were brightening. Torres forced himself to move. "Drivers!" he shouted. "Now! Go! Go!" The convoy jolted forward in pieces. Some vehicles moved. Some stayed frozen. People stared out windows like they could not look away. Godzilla took one heavy step toward the horned beast. The beast lunged, trying to rake claws across Godzilla's face. Godzilla turned his head just enough that the claws scraped his cheek instead of his eye. Sparks flew from the friction like metal on stone. Godzilla slammed his shoulder into the beast. The beast hit the ground hard. It rolled, then flipped up onto its feet with sick speed. It was smart. It was watching. It saw the blue light building along Godzilla's back, and it did something new. It ran past Godzilla, straight toward the human convoy. Torres's heart dropped. People screamed in the trucks. A driver swerved and hit a tree. The vehicle tipped and rolled. The horned beast's shadow fell over the road. Then another shadow fell over it. Godzilla moved between the beast and the convoy. He did it fast for something so huge. One step. Two. A full body turn that put his mass like a wall in front of the humans. The horned beast crashed into him and bounced off. Torres stared, stunned. Dr. Chen's voice shook. He blocked it. Torres swallowed. Or he just doesn't want anything else challenging him. Either way, Dr. Chen said, "We're alive." Godzilla lowered his head and pushed forward. He drove the horned beast back toward the center of the valley, away from the road. The beast fought, clawing, biting, trying to circle. Godzilla did not chase the circle. He anchored. Then his plates lit fully. Blue light ran up his spine in a clean line, bright as a flare. The horned beast hesitated. Godzilla opened his mouth. Heat rolled over the valley like a furnace door opening. Godzilla fired. The atomic breath hit the ground in front of the horned beast, not on it. A line of earth turned into glowing glass. A wall of steam blasted up. It was a warning shot. The horned beast skidded back, eyes flashing, and for the first time it looked unsure. Then it sprinted away toward the far end of the valley, where the ground broke into a jagged crack in the earth. A chasm. It leapt without slowing. Godzilla took a step after it, roaring in fury, but the beast vanished into the dark below. The valley went quiet except for boiling water and crackling trees. Torres's hands shook on the wheel. "Keep moving," he told his driver, voice low. "Don't look back." The convoy obeyed. Tava'K watched Godzilla stand at the edge of the chasm. Godzilla's head lowered. He sniffed the air. His plates dimmed, but his body stayed tense. He roared down into the dark. The sound went on and on, like a challenge that would not accept silence as an answer. No roar came back, not yet. Godzilla's claws scraped the rock. He did not jump in. He was not foolish. He was choosing. Behind Tava'K, a cloaked figure appeared without sound. Rex. Tava'K recognized the way he stood. Too relaxed, too pleased. Rex's mask was off. His eyes shined. "Beautiful," Rex whispered. "Now everyone has seen it." Tava'K's hands curled into fists. "You did this." Rex's mouth pulled into a grin. "I did what was needed. The clans needed a reason to act. The Sea Titan needed a rival, and I needed proof." He lifted a small vial. Inside was dark blood, still warm. Tava'K's voice came out rough. "That beast could have killed the humans. It could have killed us." Rex shrugged. "It still can." He stepped back into the trees and vanished like smoke. Tava'K stayed, staring at the place where Rex had stood. Blood meant weakness. Blood meant a plan could work. And that thought frightened him more than the fight had. Torres finally pulled his convoy behind the next ridge. Crashed trucks burned in the distance. Medics shouted. Children cried. Dr. Chen kept staring at the rear camera feed. Godzilla stood like a statue at the chasm, steam rising from his mouth. Then he turned away from the hole. He looked out across the jungle. His eyes passed over the road where humans fled. His eyes passed over the trees where hunters hid. And for a second, Torres felt like the giant could see him through metal and distance. Then Godzilla walked, not toward the humans, not toward the hunters, toward the deeper jungle, where the strange heat source still pulsed under the ground like a second heartbeat. Dr. Chen spoke softly, like she was afraid to disturb the world. "That was the first fight," she said. Torres didn't like how calm her words were. "First?" She nodded without looking away. "Whatever that other thing is, it ran into the earth. And he's going to follow the reason it woke up." High above, Tava'K watched the valley through a drone's eyes. He saw the chasm. He saw the burned glass line. He saw the humans scattering. He saw hunters arguing again, already talking about rights and claims and what counted as a real victory. And he saw Godzilla walk inland like a king who did not ask permission. Tava'K closed his eyes for a moment. "This world has changed," he said. When he opened them again, ships were already dropping through the clouds. More clans, more pride, more mistakes. And somewhere in the deep, something answered Godzilla's roar with a slow, waiting hunger. The valley looked like a giant had dragged a burning knife through it. Trees were cut in clean halves. Some still smoked. Others were just gone. In places, the ground had turned shiny and hard, like dark glass. It still gave off heat. Commander Torres walked through the mess with mud on his boots and ash on his sleeves. He stepped around a broken truck axle. He stepped around a fallen road sign. The sign still said, "Welcome" on one side, but the other side was scorched black. A medic jogged up to him. "Sir, we counted again. 12 missing. 5 critical. The rest are shaken but moving." Torres felt his jaw tighten. "Any kids?" The medic hesitated. That was answer enough. Torres looked out toward the ridge where they had escaped. The jungle beyond it rumbled now and then, like far thunder. It was not thunder. It was the giant. Dr. Maya Chen stood at the back of a cargo carrier, checking burns and cuts. She moved with purpose, but her eyes kept darting to her tablet. The screen showed a line that rose and fell in steady pulses. Torres stepped to her side. "Tell me something good." Dr. Chen did not look up. "He didn't chase us. That's not good. That's luck." She finally met his eyes. "No, it's a pattern. He could have erased the whole convoy. He didn't." Torres stared past her to the dark tree line. "Maybe he didn't care." "Or," she said softly, "maybe he cared about something else more." Torres frowned. "Like what?" Dr. Chen turned her tablet so he could see. There's a second signal under the jungle, deep underground. It's been there for a while. It's moving now. And he is following it like it's a problem. Torres rubbed his forehead with 2 fingers. So we're not even the main issue. Not to him, she said. A man shouted near the supply crates. Torres turned and saw Voss arguing with a soldier. "I have clearance," Voss snapped. He held up a laminated card like it was a weapon. "I can record anything I want. Corporate needs footage. Investors need answers." The soldier blocked him with a tired arm. "Sir, this is an evac zone." Voss pointed at the horizon. "That thing out there is the biggest discovery in human history. Do you know what a single scale is worth? Do you know what?" Torres walked up and took the card out of Voss's hand. Voss blinked. "Hey!" Torres ripped it in half and dropped it in the mud. The look on Voss's face was like someone had slapped him in public. "You want to help?" Torres said. "Carry water. Carry kids. Hold a door. Anything real." Voss swallowed. "You can't." Torres leaned closer. "I just did." Voss stared at him for a beat, then turned away fast, face tight with anger. Dr. Chen watched Voss go. "He'll try another way." Torres nodded. "I know." He looked back at the scorched valley. "What do we call it?" "The creature." Dr. Chen's mouth tightened. "People are already calling it something. I heard them whispering the name like it's a curse and a prayer." Torres did not ask. He already knew. "Godzilla," Dr. Chen said. Torres exhaled slowly through his nose. Saying the name made it feel more real, and it was already too real. Above the planet, the Yautja ships arrived like silent knives. They did not come in a straight line. They came in careful arcs. They spread out. They watched. Elder Tava'K stood in a shadowed viewing chamber with Sha'Rin at his side. A hollow display floated in the air, showing the valley, the chasm, and the path Godzilla had taken inland. Little markers blinked where hunters had been. Many markers were gone now. Tava'K's eyes stayed on the missing dots. "Lost hunters," he said. Not loud, not dramatic, just fact. Sha'Rin's voice was flat. "They fired first." Tava'K didn't argue. He simply stared at the burn line across the valley again. "Tell me what you saw," Tava'K said. Sha'Rin pointed at the display. It answered the attack once. Then it moved on. It did not chase. It did not play. "A storm does not play," Tava'K murmured. Behind them, a group of arriving clan leaders argued in sharp clicks. They were excited, hungry. Some wore bright trophies. Some wore clean armor that had never seen true danger. One leader snapped, "This is a gift. The sky opens and drops a god onto our hunting world." Another hissed, "If it is a god, then it is the greatest trophy." A third clicked, calm but cold. "If it is a god, then we should leave. A dead clan cannot brag." That last one got laughed at. Then the rule meeting began again, like it always did when hunters were scared, but didn't want to admit it. "If we use the ship's lance," a leader said, "is it still a hunt if we finish it with blades?" "It is still a kill," another answered. Tava'K turned slowly. His voice cut through the room. "A kill is not always an honor." Some leaders clicked in annoyance. Tava'K continued. "Our code is not there to make stories sound better. It is there to keep us from becoming cowards with tools." Sha'Rin watched the leaders' faces. He saw pride. He saw fear hiding under pride. He also saw opportunity. Too many ships, too many egos, too many different ideas. One wrong move, and the planet would become a war zone. And in the middle of it all was Godzilla, who didn't care about their rules. A comm officer stepped forward and bowed. "Elder, we lost contact with the old reserve beacons." Tava'K's body went still. Sha'Rin's eyes narrowed. "How long?" "Since before the valley battle," the officer said. Tava'K's jaw tightened. Someone opened it. A young clan leader clicked, confused. Opened what? Tava'K did not explain. He didn't like talking about shameful history. Sha'Rin did. A place where a rogue clan once kept a monster for sport. The leader's eyes brightened. Another trophy? Tava'K's voice was sharp now. Another mistake. He faced the holomap again. If what sleeps there is awake, then it will follow the same rule as all beasts. Sha'Rin tilted his head. Eat. Fight. Claim. Tava'K gave a slow nod. And Godzilla will answer, because it is an alpha. Alphas do not ignore challenges. Sha'Rin did not like the word alpha either, but he could not deny the pattern. He zoomed the map in. Godzilla's path was straight and heavy. It moved toward the deepest jungle zone like it was being pulled. Sha'Rin's mind built lists again. How do you guide something you cannot stop? How do you make it move away from what you want to protect? Tava'K's voice turned quieter. We do not make it our enemy if we can avoid it. Behind them, the rule meeting kept going, getting more ridiculous as fear grew. A clan leader actually asked, if we lure it with humans, does that count as fair? Humans are part of the hunt. Another leader hissed back, that is not a hunt, that is bait. A third clicked, serious as stone. All prey is bait. Tava'K's shoulders rose and fell once, like he was holding back anger. Sha'Rin leaned closer to Tava'K and spoke low. The clans won't wait. They want action. Tava'K's eyes stayed on the map. Then we give them action that doesn't burn the world. Sha'Rin's face did not change, but inside he thought, or we prepare for the moment they do burn it. Tava'K sat alone on a high branch as night turned into early morning. He had removed his mask. Cool air hit his face. He should have felt relief. He did not. He kept seeing the valley. He kept seeing the horned beast's mouth clamp onto Godzilla's back. He kept seeing blood. He kept seeing how Godzilla blocked the beast from reaching the convoy. Tava'K had grown up thinking humans were weak animals that screamed and ran. He had hunted them because it was expected, because the clan taught him that was the path. But in the valley, he had watched humans carry each other through smoke. He had watched a human medic crawl under a burning truck to pull someone out. No trophies, no glory, just stubborn life. Tava'K clicked his teeth softly, annoyed at his own thoughts. Then he heard a different sound, a faint, sharp click pattern in the trees, a signal. He froze. A cloaked figure appeared 2 branches away as if the air had opened. Rex. Tava'K's hands clenched. You opened the reserve. Rex's eyes shined even in low light. So you do have a brain. Tava'K rose slowly. The Elder will cut your head off. Rex shrugged. The Elder can try. Tava'K stepped closer. Why? Rex tilted his head, like the question was funny. Because this is history. Because I won't sit in a meeting and argue about fair hunt while a god walks our world. He pulled a small case from his belt and opened it. Inside were vials, dark blood, fragments of horn, a tiny sliver of something that glowed faintly blue. Tava'K's throat went dry. You took from Godzilla. Rex smiled. A scratch is enough. Tava'K stared at the glowing sliver. That's his plate. Not a plate, Rex corrected. A flake, like a grain of sand. He snapped the case shut. But it tells me everything I need. Tava'k's voice came out harsh. You want to kill him? Rex's smile widened. I want to be the one who can. Tava'k took a slow breath. If you push this, you will get everyone killed. Rex leaned closer, eyes bright. Or I will become legend. He tapped Tava'k's chest armor with one claw. You want to be a good hunter? Stop being scared of big prey. Then he vanished into the trees, cloak rippling like water. Tava'K stayed there, breathing hard, feeling something twist in his gut. He was scared. Not of dying, of what Rex might do to win. Godzilla moved through the deepest jungle like a tide that didn't stop. Birds scattered long before he arrived. Smaller animals ran until they could not run anymore, then hid under roots and rocks. Godzilla's eyes did not track them. His head stayed angled, like he was listening through the ground. Every few minutes, he stopped and released a low rumble. The sound rolled down into the earth. It wasn't a roar to scare prey. It was a call, a demand. Answer me. Deep below, heat shifted. Something big moved in the dark. The horned beast had fled into a chasm system like a wounded animal. It stayed low and quiet now. Godzilla's plates flickered, then dimmed again. He did not chase into the chasm yet. He circled. He tested. He was not mindless. He was careful in his own brutal way. Then the air changed. A smell hit his senses that was wrong. Not jungle, not ocean, not blood. It was like the sky tear, like broken space. Godzilla paused. His head lifted. His eyes narrowed. He stared at the far horizon where the clouds still carried a thin scar of light. A low growl rolled from his throat. That tear had dragged him here. It had disturbed his world's balance. Now it had disturbed this world too. He took one heavy step, then another. But this time, he didn't step toward the chasm. He stepped toward the faint, new pulse that had just appeared on the edge of his senses. A signal. Artificial. Strong. Wrong. Dr. Chen felt the change before Torres did. They were back in a temporary camp made from stacked cargo containers and emergency tents. People sat on the ground, holding blankets around their shoulders. The air smelled like smoke and sweat. Dr. Chen's tablet beeped. She stared at the graph. The radiation rhythm had shifted. Torres walked up, eyes tired. What is it now? Dr. Chen's voice went small. Something is calling him. Torres's face hardened. Who? I don't know, she said. But it's not natural. It's built. Torres looked at the distant jungle. The hunters. Dr. Chen swallowed. Or someone human who thinks they can control him. Torres's comm crackled. A scout team reported movement, tremors growing closer. Torres's hand tightened on the comm. We just got people out. We can't run again. Dr. Chen's eyes darted over her screen. If we can shut off the signal, he might turn away. Torres stared at her. And how do we shut off something we don't even know where it is? Dr. Chen opened her mouth to answer. A sharp hiss cut through the tent flap. The lights flickered. Dr. Chen turned and saw the air ripple near the entrance like heat over metal. A tall shape stepped out of nothing. Armor. Mask. A wrist blade that caught the light. Torres went for his sidearm. Too late. A net fired from the figure's arm and wrapped Torres, pinning his arms to his chest. He hit the ground hard. Dr. Chen stumbled back, heart pounding. No! The masked hunter turned its head toward her. It did not attack. It raised one hand and made a motion that was almost calm. Come. Dr. Chen's voice shook. You want... me? The hunter tilted its head once, like yes. Torres strained against the net. Chen, don't! Dr. Chen looked at Torres, then at the hunter. Her mind raced. If she refused, they might kill Torres. They might kill anyone. If she went, she might learn what they were doing. She might stop it. She swallowed hard, then nodded once. The hunter grabbed her arm, not gentle, not cruel, just firm, and pulled her into the night. Torres shouted her name, but the hunter was already gone, leaving only a faint shimmer in the air. Dr. Chen's tablet hit the ground and skidded. On the screen, the artificial signal spiked higher, and far away, the ground began to shake harder. Godzilla was coming. The first thing Dr. Chen noticed was the smell. Not jungle. Metal. Old oil. Cold stone. The second thing she noticed was how quiet it was. No insects, no birds, no wind. Like the place itself had scared life away. The hunter marched her through a narrow tunnel cut into rock. Strange symbols were carved into the walls. Some looked like claw marks, some looked like warnings. Dr. Chen's flashlight beam shook. She tried to keep her breathing slow. The hunter in front of her finally stopped at a wide chamber. Machines filled the room. Not human machines. Sleeker. Darker. Built like weapons and temples at the same time. At the center sat a half-finished tower of metal plates and cables. It looked like a reactor. Looked like bait. A second hunter stepped out of shadow. This one had no mask. Rex. His eyes shined with excitement, like this was a celebration. "Dr. Maya Chen," he said, pronouncing her name carefully like he had practiced. "You are famous to your people. The one who studies life." Dr. Chen's voice trembled, but she forced it steady. "What do you want?" Rex spread his hands. "To call a king." Dr. Chen stared at the machine. "You're making a signal." Rex clicked softly. "Yes. You understand." "You're pulling him toward humans," she said. "You'll kill everyone." Rex shrugged, as if lives were numbers on a screen. "I will pull him where I choose. Then I will learn how he bleeds. Then I will take his head." Dr. Chen's stomach turned. "You can't." "He's a beast," Rex finished. "A beast with rules. He answers challenges. He answers power." Dr. Chen's eyes flicked to the cables and the metal plates. "This is radiation." Rex nodded. "You will tune it. Stronger. Cleaner. Like his home energy. Like his breath." Dr. Chen took a shaky step back. "No." Rex's smile did not fade. "Yes." He leaned in. "You will help because you want your people alive. And because if you do not, I will test the machine anyway. And your people will die with you useless." Dr. Chen's fists clenched. She hated him. She also believed him. Her mind made a hard choice. "Help. So you can sabotage." She nodded once. Slow. Rex's smile widened. "Good." In the distance, deep under the tunnel, a low rumble answered, like the world had heard the lie. Godzilla had turned, and the false call was dragging him toward the settlements again. Godzilla's steps grew faster, not frantic, not sloppy, just more direct. The ground shook in steady beats. His plates flickered brighter with each minute as the artificial signal grew stronger. He did not understand machines. He did not need to. He understood one thing clearly. Something here was pretending to be a power that belonged to him. Something here was breaking the order. He released a short roar into the trees, and the jungle went silent. Then he kept moving, toward the bait, toward the people in the way, toward the problem. Torres didn't sleep. He sat with a knife and a comm that kept cracking with bad news. Dr. Chen was gone. Tremors were coming. Scout teams reported distant blue flashes through trees. And in the sky, strange lights moved in patterns that did not match satellites. Hunters. More hunters. Torres stood and addressed the camp. His voice carried across tired faces. "We move again," he said. "Now, take what you can carry. Leave the rest." A woman shouted, "Where do we go? He'll follow." Torres stared out into the dark jungle. "Then we go where the ground is hard and the roads are wide. We go where we can run." Someone else yelled, "You can't run from that." Torres didn't lie. "No, but we can keep him from stepping on us." He turned and barked orders. In the distance, another roar rolled across the night, closer than before, and somewhere underground, the horned beast listened too. It tasted the new signal, and it moved again in the dark, angry and wounded. The world was pulling 3 storms into the same place. The air above the valley looked sick. Even in daylight, a thin shimmer hung where the sky tear had been, like a scar that refused to heal. Elder Tava'K stood on a cliff with Sha'Rin. Below them, hunters set up on ridges, placing beacons and mapping routes. They were trying to prepare. They were also arguing the whole time. A hunter clicked. If we guide the Sea Titan to the reactor, is that still a hunt? Or is it herding? Another hunter answered, annoyed. Herding is for prey animals. A third said, it is not herding if the prey is bigger than you. Tava'K growled. Silence! The hunters quieted. Sha'Rin stared at the sensor feed. The signal is strong. It is pulling him. Tava'K's eyes narrowed. Someone is doing this on purpose. Sha'Rin's voice turned cold. Rex. Tava'K looked at him. Then find him. Sha'Rin hesitated. If I divert hunters, the other clans will act without control. Tava'K's gaze stayed steady. If Rex is building bait, then the other clans are already acting without control. They just don't know it yet. Sha'Rin clicked his jaw once, then gave an order through his comm. A small team peeled off into the trees, cloaked, silent. Tava'K watched the jungle and felt something he rarely admitted. Worry. Not for himself, for the world. Because the Sea Titan's steps were coming, and the clans were circling like wolves around a fire they didn't understand. Godzilla reached the edge of the valley by late afternoon. Steam rolled off his shoulders. His eyes were fixed ahead. Dr. Chen, deep in the underground facility, felt the tremors and knew exactly what that meant. He's here, she whispered. Rex was beside the reactor tower, watching numbers climb. His excitement looked like hunger. Stronger, he said. Make it stronger. Dr. Chen's hands hovered over a control panel. She could change the signal. She could spike it. She could weaken it. She also knew one truth. If she shut it off too fast, Godzilla might still come, just confused and angry. If she made it too strong, the whole valley might die. She forced her fingers to move carefully. If you push it past this line, she said, you'll overload the core. Rex's eyes narrowed. Then reinforce it. It doesn't work like that, Dr. Chen snapped, then caught herself. It will break. Rex smiled again, slow and mean. Everything breaks. On the surface, Godzilla's plates brightened. He stepped into the valley. Hunters watched from ridges, cloaked, holding their breath like that would help. Humans watched from far roads, running, praying, crying. And deep under the ground, the horned beast crawled up through a side crack in the chasm system. Its eyes were yellow and furious. It smelled the fake alpha call. It wanted to destroy the source. It wanted to hurt the one who had challenged it. The Ravager Titan rose from the shadows and charged toward the reactor zone like a living battering ram. That was when the valley truly became a war. Tava'K sprinted through trees toward the evac road, following a set of human heat signatures. He didn't know why he was doing it at first. Then he saw a small group trapped behind a fallen transport. A mother, 2 kids, and an older man with a broken leg. A smaller predator animal, one of the jungle's native hunters, crept toward them, drawn by fear and blood. Tava'K could have ignored them. That was the old rule. Instead, he threw his smart disc. The disc cut clean through the animal's neck. It fell without a sound. The mother screamed anyway, then stared at empty air, wide-eyed, because she could sense something there but could not see it. Tava'K uncloaked. The humans flinched back like he was the monster now. Tava'K raised both hands, palms open. His voice came out rough through his mask speaker. Move. Now. The older man coughed, terrified. You're one of them. Tava'K didn't argue. He grabbed the broken leg man like he weighed nothing and lifted him over his shoulder. The mother stared, shocked. Why? Tava'K didn't have a clean answer. He only had a feeling that the world was changing, and he had to choose what kind of hunter he was. Go, he said again. Run. A tremor hit. Dust fell from branches. One of the kids started crying. It's coming. Tava'K looked toward the valley. He could feel the steps in his bones. Yes, he said. It is. He moved the humans faster, pushing them toward the road. Behind them, the valley lit with a blue flash. Godzilla had seen the Ravager Titan. The Ravager Titan hit Godzilla's side like a wrecking ball. Godzilla barely shifted. He turned his head and roared, and the air itself seemed to push back. The Ravager didn't care. It clawed at Godzilla's legs, trying to pull him down. It darted away when Godzilla swung, then darted back in with savage speed. Hunters on the ridges argued even while they watched. It is two prey, one clicked, thrilled. It is two disasters, another snapped. Sha'Rin didn't speak. He watched angles, timing, weak points. Tava'K watched something else. He watched Godzilla's focus. Godzilla wasn't fighting to show dominance. He was fighting to reach the reactor's false call. That was the true target. Godzilla's plates flashed brighter, and Tava'K knew what was coming. Back, Tava'K ordered into comms. All hunters, back from the ridges, now. Some obeyed. Some didn't. The ones who didn't were the ones who wanted a story more than survival. Godzilla fired. The atomic breath swept across the valley floor, carving a bright line between the Ravager and the reactor zone. The blast didn't just burn, it reshaped. Dirt turned to glass. Rock broke and melted. Heat punched into the air in a straight, controlled stream. The Ravager leapt back, snarling, but it didn't run. It looked at the reactor zone like it wanted to chew it apart. It charged again. Godzilla met it with a shoulder slam that knocked the Ravager sideways. Then Godzilla stepped forward, closer to the reactor site. He was ignoring the hunt. He was going to fix the lie. Deep underground, Dr. Chen heard the reactor scream. The machine wasn't supposed to make sound like that. But the core vibrated, and the whole facility trembled. Rex's eyes widened with joy. Yes, feel it. He is answering. Dr. Chen snapped. He's not answering! He's coming to destroy it! Rex waved a claw like that was fine. Then we strike when he is close. He pulled out a long, slim weapon wrapped in cloth. He unwrapped it like he was revealing a trophy. A spear-like device. Dark metal. A sharp tip that glowed faintly. Dr. Chen stared. What is that? Rex's smile was proud. A plate piercer, made from the Ravager's horn and my own craft. Dr. Chen's stomach dropped. You're insane. Rex's eyes stayed bright. Insane is dying in a meeting while others make rules. He stepped toward the exit tunnel. Keep the signal strong. Keep him on the path. Dr. Chen's mind raced. She could sabotage the signal now, but if she did, Rex might still fire his weapon. Godzilla might lash out blindly. Humans above might be crushed in panic. She needed a better move. She needed the signal to guide Godzilla away from the evac road. So she changed the frequency, not enough for Rex to notice, but enough to shift the pull slightly toward the open valley center. Rex didn't look back. Good, he said, hearing the machine's rising hum. Perfect. Dr. Chen watched him go and whispered, I'm sorry. Not to Rex, to everyone above, because there was no clean way out of this anymore. On the surface, Sha'Rin made his own choice. He stood on a hidden platform built into a ridge, where an older Yautja ship component had been assembled like a turret. A ship-mounted lance. It was meant for punching holes in armor in space, not for a fair hunt. Sha'Rin's hunters looked at him with unease. One clicked. Elder Tava'K forbids it. Sha'Rin's voice was calm. Tava'K forbids dishonor. He does not forbid survival. Another clicked. If we fire, we will be marked. Sha'Rin's eyes stayed on the valley. If we don't fire, we will be buried. Tava'K appeared behind him without warning, as if the elder had stepped out of shadow itself. Tava'K's voice was quiet and heavy. You built the lance. Sha'Rin didn't turn. Yes. Tava'K stepped closer, staring at the weapon. You planned this from the start. Sha'Rin finally looked at him. I planned for worst case. That is my job. Tava'K's eyes hardened. Worst case is not an excuse to become what we hate. Sha'Rin's jaw clenched. We hate cowards, not tools. Tava'K's voice sharpened. Tools make cowards brave. Sha'Rin's face stayed still, but his words came out like a blade. And sometimes tools keep children from dying. Tava'K paused. That landed. Below, the Ravager slammed into Godzilla again, and Godzilla's tail strike tore a trench in the earth. The reactor's hum rose into a screech that even Tava'K could hear now. Tava'K looked at Sha'Rin. If you fire that lance, you may wound him. You may make him turn on all of us. Sha'Rin didn't blink. If we do nothing, Rex will make him turn anyway. Tava'K's eyes narrowed. You know Rex is here. Sha'Rin nodded once. Yes. Tava'K stared at the valley and finally understood the full shape of the trap. This is not a hunt, Tava'K said. This is a power grab. Sha'Rin's voice stayed cold. Then we stop it. Tava'K held Sha'Rin's gaze. Without becoming it. Sha'Rin looked back at the lance. He didn't answer, because he didn't know if that was possible. The Ravager Titan rushed the reactor zone. Godzilla moved to intercept, but the Ravager was fast. It leapt over the glass-cut line Godzilla had made. It crashed into a metal structure near the valley's center, part of the hidden facility's above-ground vents. The ground split. A shockwave rolled. Hunters stumbled on ridges. Humans in the far distance screamed as the valley floor cracked like broken ice. Godzilla roared, louder than before, and stepped forward with purpose. He wasn't chasing the Ravager for revenge. He was chasing the source of the lie. Then the lie became worse. The reactor overloaded. Dr. Chen felt it in the tunnel as a violent vibration that knocked her to one knee. On the surface, a spinning light column burst upward from the valley's center. Blue-white, just like the sky tear, but tighter, angrier. The air above the valley twisted, clouds spiraled, wind screamed. A rift began to form, not fully open, not stable, but real. Godzilla stopped for half a second, staring up. His eyes narrowed, his plates dimmed, then flared again. This wasn't just a false signal now. This was the same kind of wrong that had dragged him across worlds. He released a deep, steady rumble. Not rage, warning. Then he moved, straight toward the reactor core. The Ravager charged him again, desperate to destroy the source too. Godzilla met it head on. He grabbed the Ravager by the horned crown and slammed it into the ground so hard the valley shook like an earthquake. The Ravager snarled, fought, and bit down on Godzilla's forearm. Godzilla didn't flinch. He lifted the beast and threw it into a ridge wall. Rock shattered. The Ravager slid down, stunned. Godzilla didn't finish it. He turned away. Because the rift above was growing, and the core below was still screaming. Rex climbed out onto the valley floor through a hidden hatch, cloak shimmering. He held the plate piercer in both hands like it was sacred. He saw Godzilla moving toward the reactor zone. He saw the rift forming above, spinning like a storm, and he smiled anyway. "This is perfect," he whispered. He took aim. He wasn't aiming for the head. He wasn't stupid. He aimed for a spot where plates overlapped, near the shoulder, where the Ravager's bite had already proved skin could tear. He waited for the right moment. Godzilla stepped forward. Rex fired. The spear launched with a sharp crack and streaked across the air. It hit Godzilla's shoulder with a bright flash. For the first time, Godzilla reacted fast, not stumbling, Not falling, but snapping his head toward the source like lightning. A low, furious growl rolled out. The spear had gone in, not deep enough to kill, but deep enough to hurt. Rex's whole body thrilled with triumph. "I made you feel it," he whispered. Godzilla's plates flared, and Rex's mask screamed heat warnings even through his cloak. Godzilla took one step toward Rex's direction. Rex didn't wait for the second step. He cloaked fully and sprinted, darting between rocks and vents. Behind him, a blue glow built in Godzilla's mouth. Rex's instincts screamed. He dove into a trench as atomic breath tore across the valley, slicing the air above him into a boiling, screaming line. The blast missed him by meters. Meters that only existed because Godzilla aimed at the moving threat, not at the whole valley. Rex rolled, laughing under his breath, and vanished into a side tunnel. He had his proof. Gods could bleed. Dr. Chen stumbled through the underground chamber, hands over her ears as alarms screamed. She saw the rift's light spill through cracks above, painting everything blue. The reactor tower shook, cables snapped, the core glowed too bright. "This is going to tear open," she shouted to no one. She slammed her hands onto the controls and tried to dump power. The system fought her, not like a normal machine, like a stubborn animal. Then the ceiling groaned. Dust fell. A deep rumble rolled through the facility. Godzilla was directly above. Dr. Chen's eyes went wide. "No! No! No!" A section of the ceiling collapsed in a thunder of rock. Light poured in, and Godzilla's claw slammed down, tearing away metal like paper. He wasn't digging blindly. He was reaching for the source. Dr. Chen backed away, heart hammering. Godzilla's face appeared through the opening, massive and steaming. His eyes were furious, but focused, like a judge who had found the lie. His mouth opened slightly, heat building. Dr. Chen screamed, "Wait!" Godzilla didn't understand her words, but he did understand the machine's scream. He fired. The atomic breath hit the reactor tower. Metal glowed white. The core shattered. The sound that followed was like a giant bell breaking. The false signal died in an instant. The whole facility shook as if it had been punched. Dr. Chen was thrown backward into a wall. Above, the rift storm shuddered. It didn't vanish, but it changed. It tightened into a spinning ring of light, like a whirlpool in the sky. The valley wind dropped from screaming to a steady, dangerous howl. Dr. Chen coughed, tasted blood, and forced her eyes open. Godzilla pulled back from the hole, steam rolling off his face. He had done what he came to do. He had silenced the lie. Now he looked up at the rift, and his anger wasn't finished. Outside, the Ravager Titan crawled out of broken rock, limping but alive. It saw the rift. It saw Godzilla. It roared, furious and stubborn, and rushed again, because it did not know how to stop. Godzilla turned, plates glowing. This time he did not warn. He slammed the Ravager with his shoulder and drove it back toward the chasm edge. The Ravager fought, clawing for ground. Godzilla's tail snapped out and struck the Ravager's side, hard enough to crack its armor plates. The Ravager screamed and stumbled. Then it did something smart. It didn't try to win. It tried to escape. It leapt backward and slid down a cracked slope into the chasm system again, vanishing into dark like a wounded nightmare. Godzilla stood at the edge and roared down into the earth. The roar was shorter now. Not a challenge, a promise. "I will find you." Then he lifted his head toward the sky storm. The spinning rift hung above the valley like an open wound that refused to close. Hunters on ridges stared in fear and awe. Humans far away stared too, because you could see the light from miles. Karak looked at the rift and felt cold anger. "This is what cheating brings," he said. Sha'Rin's eyes stayed on Godzilla's shoulder, where the spear had struck. "Rex wounded him." Karak's jaw tightened. And now Godzilla will remember. Sha'Rin looked at the lance weapon beside him. He didn't fire it. Not yet. Because Godzilla wasn't attacking the clans. Godzilla was staring at the rift like it was his real enemy. And if Sha'Rin fired now, he might turn a focused storm into a blind one. Karak's voice turned low. This world will not be a hunting ground for a while. Sha'Rin didn't argue. Below, Godzilla stood in the ruined valley, steam rising, plates dimming slowly as the false signal faded. The rift still spun above, quieter now, but still there. And somewhere in the tunnels, Rex ran with his prototype, smiling like a thief who had stolen fire. The universe had changed its rules, and everyone could feel it. 2 weeks later, the valley was still warm. Not warm like sun on skin, warm like a stove that would not shut off. The ground where the blue beam had cut was hard and shiny. People called it glass rock now. You could not dig through it with normal tools. You could barely chip it. And above it, the sky still held the spinning ring. The rift. A round tear of blue-white light that turned slowly, like a storm trapped in one place. At night, it lit the clouds from below. It made shadows move the wrong way. It made kids cry in their sleep. It also made every sensor on the planet scream. Dr. Maya Chen learned to live with the beeping. She sat on a cot inside a stacked container that had become the camp's clinic. Her ribs still hurt when she breathed too deep. Her hands had blisters from grabbing hot metal and rough stone underground. Commander Torres stood at the open door, watching workers reinforce walls with cargo plates. They were building a new safe zone on hard ground, far from the jungle's deep heart. Wide roads, clear sight lines, fast routes out. Torres turned back to Dr. Chen. "You're supposed to be resting." Dr. Chen gave him a tired look. "You're supposed to be sleeping." Torres almost smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "We don't have time for supposed to. Tell me again what you saw down there." Dr. Chen swallowed. Her throat still felt dry when she remembered the heat and the shaking. "He wasn't trying to hunt," she said. "Godzilla wasn't playing. He came for the false call. He came to shut it off." Torres nodded slowly. "And the one who built it. Rex." Dr. Chen's hands clenched. "He wanted to pull Godzilla into a perfect kill zone. He made a spear that pierced him. It worked." Torres's face tightened. "So the hunters can hurt him." "Yes," Dr. Chen said, "but it took a special weapon." And it still didn't stop him. She leaned forward and lowered her voice. "Torres, the worst part is the rift. Rex didn't just bait Godzilla. He almost opened that thing wider." Torres glanced up at the faint blue glow that still stained the distant clouds. "It's still there." Dr. Chen nodded. Godzilla stared at it like it was the real enemy. Torres rubbed his jaw. "And what about the other monster? The horned one?" "The Ravager," she said. "It ran underground again. It's wounded, but it's alive." Torres let out a low breath. "So we have a sky tear, a sea titan, a tunnel monster, and alien hunters arguing about rules." Dr. Chen blinked. "How do you know they argue about rules?" Torres's mouth twitched. "I've heard them. We picked up signals. It's like listening to someone debate if cheating counts as winning while a building burns down." Dr. Chen actually let out a short laugh, then winced from pain. "That sounds right." Outside, a soldier shouted. Torres looked up and saw Voss at the edge of the camp again, talking fast to a group of tired settlers. Voss held a small camera drone in his hands. He was smiling like nothing had happened. Torres stepped out of the clinic container and walked straight to him. "Voss," Torres said. Voss turned, smile ready. "Commander." "Good news. Corporate is sending a bigger team, better gear, a real broadcast uplink. We can..." Torres took the drone, pulled the battery out, and handed the dead machine back. Voss's smile faltered. You can't keep stopping me. Torres leaned in. Watch me. If you fly anything near that rift, Godzilla will see it. And if Godzilla sees it, people will die. Do you understand that? Voss opened his mouth, then closed it. Torres pointed toward the jungle. If you want a story, carry sandbags with everyone else. That's your story. Voss's face hardened. He turned away without another word. Dr. Chen watched from the doorway, her eyes tired, but clear. Some people, she murmured, can look at the end of the world and still think about money. Torres didn't answer. He was looking past the camp, past the reinforced roads. He could feel the ground's slow, steady tremor. Godzilla was nearby again, not attacking, just present, like a storm parked on the coast. Out in the ocean, Godzilla moved with quiet purpose. His massive body cut through water like a dark island. His dorsal plates rose above the waves like a jagged ridgeline. He circled the coastline that faced the Rift Valley. Sometimes he swam closer to shore, sometimes he moved farther out. But he always came back. The rift's light touched the surface of the sea, and Godzilla watched it. His eyes did not show fear. They showed anger and focus. The sky tear was wrong. It did not belong. And something in that tear felt like the same force that had ripped him from his world. Godzilla rumbled low, the sound traveling through water for miles. Far inland, deep in the chasm tunnels, another creature heard it. The Ravager Titan did not answer with a roar. It answered by moving. Slow, wounded, hiding, but alive. Godzilla's plates flickered once, as if he felt that motion through the earth. He did not chase into the chasm yet. Not while the sky tear still spun. He had priorities. Alphas did. In orbit, Elder Karak stood before a hollow projection of the Yucha Council. The council was not one face. It was many masks and voices, sharp and heavy with power. Their ship hung higher than the clan ships. Their tech was older, cleaner, more dangerous. Elder Karak, a council voice said, your hunting world is no longer quiet. Karak's voice was steady. It is no longer a hunting world at all. Another voice snapped, then fix it. Sha'Rin stood behind Karak, arms folded, eyes cold. Karak lifted a hand toward the holo. The image shifted to show the rift over the valley. This tear in the sky is visible from the ground, Karak said. Humans are watching. Their machines are recording. Our secrecy is bleeding. A council mask tilted. Then close it. Karak nodded once. We can. With the old gate seal device. Murmurs clicked through the hollow. The gate seal device was sacred tech. It was not used lightly. A different council voice said, there will be a price. Karak did not flinch. Name it. The council's answer came fast, like they had already agreed. A trophy. Karak's eyes narrowed. Explain. A fragment from the Sea Titan, the council said. A dorsal plate piece. Proof. A record. Something to show the clans that the council handled it. Karak's jaw tightened. You want to take from it. We want to justify the use of sacred tech, the council replied. We do not spend power without a return. Not anymore. Karak's claws curled, then relaxed. His voice stayed controlled. If we harm it, it may turn on everyone. A council mask clicked, impatient. You are an elder. Speak like one. You fear a beast. Karak leaned closer. His voice dropped. I respect a force that can break ships and burn valleys with breath. That is not fear. That is sense. A silence hit the holo. Then the council spoke again, colder. You will bring us the trophy, or you will watch the rift grow until humans flood this system. Karak held the council's gaze through light and shadow. There is another way. What way? The council demanded. Karak's eyes sharpened. Help the Sea Titan close the rift. Do not trap it. Do not take from it with violence. Earn the fragment with honor." Sha'Rin shifted behind him, and Tava'K felt it. The Batman in Sha'Rin was already planning the fast solution. The council's voice turned mocking. "Earn a trophy from a god." Tava'K did not smile. "Yes." The hollow paused. Then a new voice joined. Older. Heavier. "You have 3 days," the council said. "If you fail, we act without you." The hollow cut out. The chamber went quiet. Sha'Rin stepped forward. "They are forcing your hand." Tava'K looked at the dark planet below. "They are forcing all hands." Sha'Rin's eyes narrowed. "Then we take the fragment cleanly, with the lance, one shot, controlled. Then the device closes the rift. The world goes back to hunting." Tava'K turned on him sharply. "There is no back, not after this." Sha'Rin's voice stayed flat. "Then we build a new normal, one where our people live." Tava'K stared at Sha'Rin for a long moment. He could see the fear behind the logic, the kind of fear that turned into control. Tava'K spoke quietly. "If you wound Godzilla again, you may not get a new normal. You may get ashes." Sha'Rin's gaze did not move. "And if we do nothing, we may get a rift that eats the sky." Tava'K hated that Sha'Rin was not wrong. He just hated what Sha'Rin was willing to become. Tava'K returned to Tava'K's ship at dawn, covered in mud and ash. He had a fresh cut on his shoulder and dried blood on his wrist armor. Tava'K met him in a quiet hall, away from the loud clan leaders and their endless rule meetings. "You left your post," Tava'K said. Tava'K lowered his head. "Yes." Tava'K's voice stayed calm. "Why?" Tava'K hesitated. Then he spoke the truth, because Tava'K had earned that much. "I helped humans escape," Tava'K said. Tava'K's eyes narrowed slightly, but not with anger, with focus. "Why?" Tava'K swallowed. "Because they were trapped. Because the Ravager would have killed them. Because the Sea Titan blocked the Ravager from reaching them." Tava'K's face went still. "You saw that," Tava'K said. "Yes," Tava'K replied. "It chose the path that did not crush them. It could have. It didn't." Tava'K breathed out slowly. "And Rex," Tava'k's hands clenched. "Rex is building more weapons. He's proud. He thinks hurting Godzilla makes him a god." Tava'k's jaw tightened. "Where?" Tava'K looked up. "Near the valley. He moves through tunnels. He has friends. Bad blood." Tava'k's eyes darkened. "He's not just breaking rules. He's breaking our future." Tava'k gathered courage. "Elder, the clans keep meeting. They keep arguing about what counts as hunting." Tava'k's mouth twitched, almost a grim smile. "They always do." Tava'k's voice sharpened. "But while they argue, humans die. While they argue, the rift spins. While they argue, Rex acts." Tava'k stared at him, measuring. Then Tava'k placed a hand on Tava'k's shoulder. "Good," Tava'k said. "You are learning the difference between noise and truth." Tava'k's eyes widened slightly. Praise from an elder was rare. Tava'k spoke again, quieter. "I need you." Tava'k straightened. "For what?" Tava'k's eyes turned toward the planet. "To help me stop hunters from destroying a world." Tava'k nodded once, hard. "Tell me where to stand." On the third night, the valley filled with shadows. Clan ships hovered high, lights dim, watching like silent birds. On ridges, Yautja hunters crouched, cloaked, weapons ready. Some were there for honor. Some were there for a story. Some were there because they didn't know how to do anything else. And somewhere among them, the council's gate seal device was being lowered onto a flat platform of metal. The device looked like a ring of black stone and sharp metal arms. It hummed in a low tone that made teeth vibrate. Elder Tava'K stood beside it, hands behind his back. Sha'Rin stood a few steps away, watching a different platform. The lance platform. The forbidden weapon that could punch a hole through armor that normal blades could not. Tava'K had not ordered it removed. He had only ordered it not fired. Sha'Rin had agreed. Tava'K did not fully trust that agreement. Below, the rift spun in the sky, brighter than usual. The air smelled sharp, like burned rain. The ground trembled. Godzilla rose from the sea and stepped onto the shore. His body was scarred. The old wounds were there, and on his shoulder, the new wound from Rex's spear still showed as a dark mark. Hunters stiffened as he entered the valley. Even from far away, you could feel his weight. Godzilla walked toward the center, eyes locked on the rift above. He did not look at the ridges. He did not look for prey. He moved like a worker coming to fix a broken thing. Commander Torres watched from a far evacuation ridge with binoculars and a shaking hand. Dr. Chen stood beside him, wrapped in a thick jacket. Her face was pale, but her eyes were sharp. "You shouldn't be here," Torres whispered. Dr. Chen didn't look away. "If this goes wrong, we're dead anyway. I want to see what wrong looks like." Torres swallowed. "That's a terrible reason." Dr. Chen's mouth twitched. "It's also honest." Godzilla reached the valley center and stopped. He lifted his head and roared at the rift. The sound rolled up into the spinning light, like he was demanding it close. The rift answered with a burst of wind that slammed through the valley, bending trees and shaking loose rock. Hunters crouched lower. Even Sha'Rin's stance tightened. Tava'K looked up at the rift and spoke into his comm. "Activate the gate seal device," Tava'K ordered. The device's arms shifted. The hum grew louder. A column of faint light rose from the device toward the rift, like a thread trying to stitch the tear closed. The rift shook. For a moment, it looked like it might actually shrink. Then a new sound cut through the valley. A sharp crack. A spear shot out from the shadows. Rex. He was hidden near a broken vent tower. His new plate piercer was longer than before, heavier, with an ugly glow at the tip. He didn't aim at Godzilla's head. He aimed at the same shoulder again, where the plate overlap was imperfect. The spear hit. Godzilla's body jolted. A deep, furious sound rolled out of him, lower than a roar. The kind of sound that meant pain had become rage. Torres felt his stomach drop. "No!" Dr. Chen's hands clenched. "He did it again!" Godzilla turned fast, scanning for the attacker. Hunters on ridges erupted in clicks and shouts. Some screamed angry, "Dishonor!" Others hissed excited. He made it bleed again. And right on time, the rule meeting tried to happen in the middle of disaster. A clan leader clicked loudly. "If Rex strikes first, does that mean the hunt is already claimed?" Another snapped back. "He is bad blood. His claim is trash." A third said, serious as stone, "But the kill is the kill." Tava'K's voice blasted through comm channels like a hammer. "Silence!" It worked for a heartbeat. Godzilla found the movement. Rex cloaked. But Godzilla didn't need eyes alone. He read vibrations, heat, the way the air changed. Godzilla's plates flared bright. His mouth opened. Rex sprinted. Atomic breath tore across the valley and carved a glowing line that chased him. Rex dove behind a ridge and barely survived. The rock behind him turned to slag. Rex laughed anyway, breathless and wild. "Come on," he whispered. "Choose me. Choose the fight." Godzilla took one step toward Rex's hiding place. Then, the rift above pulsed. A chunk of light broke off like a spark and fell into the valley, sizzling through the air. It hit the ground and burst into a shockwave that knocked hunters off their feet. The gate seal device flickered. Tava'K's eyes widened. "It's reacting to his anger." Sha'Rin's gaze snapped between Godzilla and the device. The rift is getting worse. Karak's jaw tightened. Because Rex wounded him. Sha'Rin's voice went flat. Then we end this now. He turned toward the lance platform. Karak moved in front of him. Sha'Rin stopped, eyes cold. Elder, move! Karak's voice was low and heavy. If you fire the lance, you may take the plate fragment. Sha'Rin didn't deny it. We need it. The council demanded it. Karak's eyes sharpened. If you fire the lance, Godzilla will not help close the rift. He will destroy everything near it, including the device, including our ships if they threaten him. Sha'Rin's jaw tightened. Then what is your plan? Karak turned, eyes on Godzilla. Godzilla had stopped chasing Rex. He was staring at the rift again, as if he knew the bigger threat was above, not in the rocks. Karak's voice steadied. We do not take. We ask with action. Sha'Rin's eyes narrowed. You can't ask a beast. Karak's answer was simple. Then, we show respect. Sha'Rin almost laughed, but it came out like a bitter click. Respect doesn't close the sky. Karak pointed at the gate seal device. This can, but it needs time, and it needs the Sea Titan focused on the rift, not on murder. Sha'Rin's gaze shifted. He saw the truth. Rex wanted Godzilla angry. Angry Godzilla meant chaos. Chaos meant a chance to land a killing strike in confusion. Sha'Rin spoke through his comm. All hunters, find Rex. Do not engage Godzilla. Rex is the target. Some clans obeyed. Some didn't. Tava'K did. He dropped from his ridge and moved like a shadow toward the broken vent towers. He found heat. Fast steps. A faint shimmer in the air. Rex. Tava'K's hands shook, not with fear, but with the weight of what he was about to do. He uncloaked on purpose. Rex turned, surprised, then grinned. Ah, the soft young blood. Tava'K's voice was tight. Stop! Rex laughed. Stop? Look up. The sky is opening. This is the best night of our lives. Tava'K stepped forward and lifted his wrist blades. You will kill everyone. Rex clicked his tongue. Everyone dies. Only legends are remembered. He raised the plate piercer for another shot. Tava'K lunged. They clashed in a flash of metal. Wrist blades against spear shaft. Sparks flew. Rex was stronger than Tava'K expected. Not because he was bigger, because he was cruel. And cruel fighters don't hesitate. Rex kicked Tava'K in the ribs and sent him crashing into a broken metal beam. Tava'K gasped, pain sharp, but he forced himself up. Rex stepped closer, spear ready. You want to be honorable? Be dead. Then a shadow fell over them. Not a hunter. A wall of dark scale and steam. Godzilla's head lowered near the vent tower, eyes burning with rage. Rex froze for the first time. He had wanted Godzilla's attention. Now he had it. Godzilla's plates flared again. Rex cloaked and ran. Godzilla didn't chase with wild swings. He stepped once and crushed the ground where Rex had been. He stepped again and blocked the path Rex tried to take. Rex darted left. Godzilla's tail snapped out and smashed the tower beside him, collapsing metal in a thunder of sparks and dust. Rex stumbled, cloak flickering. Tava'K saw his chance. He threw his smart disc. The disc sliced through Rex's spear arm guard, not taking the arm, but cutting deep enough to ruin his grip. The plate piercer clattered to the ground. Rex hissed in rage and pain. Godzilla saw the weapon fall. Godzilla's eyes locked onto it like it was poison. He slammed his claw down and crushed the spear into twisted scrap. Rex stared, horrified, as his legend broke like a toy. Then Rex did what cowards with big dreams always do when the dream fails. He ran. He dove into a side tunnel crack that led into the old facility network. Godzilla roared into the hole. a sound that shook dust loose from the rocks. But he did not crawl in. Not while the rift still spun. He turned away from the tunnel and faced the sky again. Tava'K dropped to one knee, breathing hard. He felt a strange thing then. Not victory. Relief. Because for one moment, Godzilla's anger had a target that wasn't everyone. Tava'K saw Godzilla turn back toward the rift. He lifted his comm. Now. Seal it! The gate seal device's arms spread wider. The hum deepened. The light thread thickened into a beam. The rift shook again. But it fought back. A gust slammed down and toppled two metal towers. The air grew sharp and cold, then hot, like weather changing every second. Sha'Rin watched the device strain. He clenched his fists. It won't hold. Tava'K stared at Godzilla. It will, if he adds his strength. Sha'Rin's eyes narrowed. How? Tava'K spoke like it was the most natural thing in the world. He burns the wound closed. Sha'Rin turned, shocked. You want him to fire atomic breath at the rift while we run the device? Tava'K nodded. He hates it. He wants it gone. We give him away. Sha'Rin's voice was tense. And if he hits the device? Tava'K's answer was calm. Then we die. But if we don't try, we also die. Just slower. Sha'Rin stared at the lance platform again. One shot could cut a dorsal fragment. One shot could satisfy the council. And one shot could turn Godzilla's focused fury into a war. Sha'Rin made his choice. He turned away from the lance. He keyed his comm. All hunters, clear the valley center. Now. Leave the Sea Titan space. Some hunters hesitated, but the tone in Sha'Rin's voice made them move. Tava'K stepped forward into the open, not cloaked, and raised both arms slowly. He was tiny compared to Godzilla, a bug compared to a mountain. But Tava'K did not act like prey. Godzilla's head lowered, eyes narrowing. Tava'K didn't speak human words. He clicked and hissed in his own language, not as a challenge, but as a signal. A simple hunter truth. We are not striking you. We are striking the wound. Godzilla stared. The rift pulsed again, and a shard of light fell and exploded near the valley edge. Godzilla's eyes flicked up. His focus snapped back to the sky, tear like a magnet. He roared at it, long and furious. Tava'K pointed upward with one claw, then pointed at the gate seal device's beam connecting to the rift. It was a gamble. Godzilla's plates flared. His mouth opened. For one terrifying second, everyone thought he might burn the device, the ridges, the ships, everything. Then Godzilla angled his head up. He fired atomic breath straight into the rift. The beam hit the spinning ring and lit it like a blazing wheel. The gate seal device screamed as it drew power, not from Godzilla, but from the rift's reaction. The rift shook harder than ever. Then it started to shrink. Not fast, not clean, but real. The spinning ring tightened. The light dimmed. The wind dropped from a scream to a hard gust. Torres watched from the far ridge and whispered, "He's closing it." Dr. Chen's eyes filled with tears she didn't expect. "He's burning the edges shut." Godzilla held the beam steady for seconds that felt like hours. The rift fought, flaring bright. Tava'K held his stance, arms still raised, like he was anchoring the idea of peace with his own body. Sha'Rin watched every angle, ready to call a retreat if Godzilla turned. The rift shrank again. Then it stopped shrinking. It stabilized into a smaller ring, still spinning, still dangerous, but no longer growing. Godzilla's atomic breath cut off. He lowered his head, steam rolling out of his mouth. The valley was quiet, except for the gate seal device's low hum as it settled. Tava'K slowly lowered his arms. He didn't cheer. He didn't celebrate. He simply breathed, because he was still alive. Sha'Rin's voice came through the comm, tight with disbelief. "It worked," Tava'K answered softly. "It worked enough." A smaller rift was still a rift, but it was not a mouth opening wider. It was a scar that had been stitched. Godzilla stared at the remaining ring of light for a long moment. Then he turned his head toward the ridges. Hunters froze. Godzilla's eyes swept across them, not like prey, not like trophies. Like a king checking if the dogs had learned their place. He took one step toward the lance platform. Sha'Rin's body went still. Godzilla reached the platform and placed one claw on the metal base. He didn't smash it with wild anger. He crushed it calmly, like breaking a dangerous tool so it couldn't be used again. The lance bent and snapped. Sparks flew. Metal screamed. Sha'Rin watched, jaw clenched, and understood. That was Godzilla's message. No more. Godzilla stepped back, turned toward the sea, and walked away from the valley. Not fleeing, choosing. He left the rift behind, smaller but still present, like a problem he would return to watch. Tava'K looked at the broken lance, then at the sky. The council wanted a dorsal fragment. Tava'K did not have one, but he had something else. Proof. Godzilla had helped close the rift. A god-sized force had worked with them, not because of words, but because the goal matched its nature. Tava'K knew the council would hate that kind of proof. It didn't fit in a trophy case. By morning, the clans were louder than ever. They always were after a night like that. Some screamed that Tava'K had tamed a god. Others screamed that Sha'Rin had disobeyed the council by not taking the fragment. Others screamed that Rex had been robbed of a rightful kill. And yes, the rule meeting returned like a bad habit. One clan leader clicked, angry. "If the Sea Titan crushed our lance, is that an insult or a claim?" Another snapped back. "It is a warning, fool." A third asked, truly serious, "Does the hunt end if the prey leaves the battlefield?" Tava'K didn't join. He walked into the council chamber alone and faced the hollow again. The council masks appeared, colder than before. "You failed," a council voice said. Tava'K did not bow. "The rift is smaller. It is stable." The council clicked, impatient. "We demanded proof." Tava'K's eyes hardened. "Your proof is a world that didn't die. Your proof is that our secrecy has a chance to survive." Silence. Then the council spoke, low and dangerous. "You gave a beast respect, and you expect us to clap." Tava'K's voice stayed firm. "I gave reality respect. That rift is not a toy. It is not a trophy. It is a threat." The council paused. A different voice asked, careful now, "And the Sea Titan?" Tava'K answered simply, "It remains, near the rift, watching." The council masks shifted as they spoke among themselves in clicks that weren't meant for Tava'K. Finally, the council returned. "This world is now restricted. No more games, no more public hunts. Any clan that violates this will be erased." Tava'K felt a tight relief. "Good." The council added one last sharp note, "And Elder Tava'K, if the rift grows again, we will not ask. We will burn." The holo cut off. Tava'K stood alone in the quiet chamber. He didn't like the council's threat. But he understood it. He looked down at the planet again. Godzilla was not a trophy. Godzilla was a boundary. And boundaries don't care who wants a story. That night, the coast was calm. Dr. Chen stood on a rocky cliff above the sea. The wind tugged at her jacket. The sky was dark, but the smaller rift still glowed faintly in the far distance, like a star that didn't belong. Out on the water, Godzilla moved slowly. Only his dorsal plates showed above the waves. They rose and fell like a moving mountain spine. Dr. Chen held a small recorder and spoke into it, her voice quiet. Day 16, she said. The rift remains stable. Godzilla remains near the coast. It patrols. It reacts to energy shifts. It does not attack unless provoked. She paused. Her throat tightened. It is not a hero, she whispered. It is not a villain. It is. A force that refuses to let the sky stay broken. Behind her, Torres approached quietly. You okay? He asked. Dr. Chen didn't look away from the sea. I think so. Torres stood beside her, hands in his pockets. We're moving the last families tomorrow. The new safe zone is ready. Dr. Chen nodded. Good. Torres hesitated. People are making up stories about him. Dr. Chen's mouth twitched. Of course they are. Torres exhaled. Some say he saved us. Some say he's waiting to kill us later. Dr. Chen watched the dark plates slice through water. Both stories are too simple. Torres gave a short, tired laugh. That's your polite way of saying people are stupid. Dr. Chen finally smiled. No, it's my honest way of saying people are scared. A faint clicking sound came from the rocks nearby. Torres tensed. Hand moving toward his sidearm, Dr. Chen lifted her hand slightly. Wait. A cloaked shimmer appeared, then faded as a tall figure uncloaked. Tava'K stood there, mask on, posture stiff, but not hostile. Torres froze. You. Tava'K didn't move closer. He placed a small object on a flat stone between them, a carved mark, a simple symbol scratched into dark rock. Dr. Chen leaned forward, careful. What is it? Tava'K's voice came through his mask speaker, rough but controlled. Respect. Torres frowned. For who? Tava'K turned his head toward the sea. Dr. Chen looked at the symbol again. It wasn't a trophy mark. It wasn't a claim. It looked like a warning sign turned into a promise. Dr. Chen swallowed. You're thanking him. Tava'K didn't answer with words. He simply nodded once. Then he stepped back, cloaked, and vanished into the night. Torres stared at the empty air. I can't believe that just happened. Dr. Chen looked at the sea again. Godzilla's plates rose and fell in steady rhythm, a quiet routine, a new normal. Far away, the rift's glow flickered once, then steadied. Godzilla rumbled low, a sound that traveled across the water like a warning that didn't need translation. Dr. Chen held her recorder down at her side. Torres spoke softly, almost to himself. So life keeps going. Dr. Chen nodded. Yes. She watched the ocean, and the giant shape beneath it, and the scar in the sky. And she understood the real theme of this world now. Balance wasn't gentle. Balance was watched. And as long as Godzilla stayed near that wound in the sky, the universe would keep breathing. Different than before, but still breathing.